Elara Voss stared at the massive wolf lying on her cabin floor, its chest rising and falling in shallow, ragged breaths. The storm outside raged on, wind howling like a pack of beasts clawing at the door. But inside, the air was thick with an unnatural silence. She had dragged the creature in from the snow-swept forest, her muscles screaming in protest, her mind reeling from the foolishness of it all. What kind of idiot hauls a wild animal into their home? But something in those piercing silver eyes that seemed almost human had compelled her. She couldn't leave it to die. Her hands, still trembling from the cold, worked quickly now. She had bandaged the deep gash along its flank with strips torn from an old shirt, applying pressure to stem the bleeding. The wound looked like it had come from claws or teeth, not a hunter's bullet. Strange. The wolf hadn't fought her. Instead, it had watched her with an intensity that sent chills down her spine unrelated to the blizzard. Now, as she knelt beside it, wiping blood from its dark fur, she whispered soothing nonsense the way she might to a frightened child. "You're going to be okay," she murmured, her voice echoing softly in the dim room lit only by the flickering fire. "Just rest. I've got you." Elara leaned back against the worn couch, exhaustion washing over her. She had come to this remote cabin in the whispering pines to escape the suffocating city. The betrayal of her ex-fiancé who had left her shattered and doubting her worth. The endless pressure of a life that felt like it was closing in. A fresh start, she had told herself. Solitude in the mountains, far from anyone who could hurt her again. But now, here she was, playing nurse to a wolf that could rip her throat out the moment it regained strength. The animal stirred slightly, a low whine escaping its muzzle. Alara's heart skipped. She reached out tentatively, her fingers brushing the soft fur behind its ears. To her surprise, it didn't snap or pull away. Instead, it leaned into her touch, just a fraction, as if seeking comfort. A strange warmth spread through her chest, unbidden and confusing. "What happened to you out there?" she asked aloud, though she knew there would be no answer. As the night deepened, the storm began to ebb, leaving only the occasional gust rattling the windows. Elara dozed fitfully in the armchair, her dreams fragmented with images of silver eyes and shadowy figures lurking in the trees. She woke to the sound of labored breathing, not the wolf's, but something different. Blinking away sleep, she glanced down and froze. The wolf was gone. In its place lay a man. A naked, heavily muscled man sprawled on her rug, his skin pale against the dark bloodstains. The bandage she had applied was still there, wrapped around his torso where the gash had been. His hair was a wild tangle of black waves, and his face his face was chiseled perfection, marred only by a faint scar along his jaw. He looked like he could bench press a tree, yet there was a vulnerability in his unconscious form that tugged at her. Panic surged through Elara. How? Had she hallucinated the wolf? No, that couldn't be. She scrambled to her feet, grabbing a poker from the fireplace as a makeshift weapon. "Who the hell are you?" she demanded, her voice shaking. But he didn't stir. His breathing was steady now, the wound already seeming less severe, as if it were healing unnaturally fast. Cautiously she approached, draping a blanket over him for modesty and to quell the flush rising in her cheeks. He was gorgeous in a rugged, dangerous way, but that didn't explain anything. Had he been attacked, stripped, and left for dead? And where had the wolf gone? Her mind raced, piecing together impossibilities. The eyes, they were the same silver hue, gleaming even in repose. She should call the authorities, but the phone lines were down from the storm, and her cell had no signal this far out, trapped with him. Elara paced the small room, her thoughts a whirlwind. This was insane. She had come here to heal her own wounds, not stumble into some mystery man who appeared out of nowhere. As dawn's light filtered through the frost-laced windows, the man groaned, his eyelids fluttering open. Those silver eyes locked onto hers, and for a moment, the world narrowed to just the two of them. A jolt shot through Elara like an electric current, pulling her toward him against her will. He tried to sit up, wincing in pain, one hand clutching the bandage. "Easy," she said instinctively, dropping the poker and kneeling beside him. "You're hurt. Don't move too fast." He stared at her, his gaze intense and probing, as if he were seeing straight into her soul. You saved me," he rasped, his voice deep and gravelly, laced with an accent she couldn't place something ancient, almost primal. "I found a wolf," she corrected, her tone wary. "Not you. Care to explain that?" His expression darkened, a flicker of something like regret crossing his features. "It's complicated. You shouldn't have gotten involved." He shifted, testing his strength, and Elara noticed the way his muscles rippled under his skin, like a predator coiled to spring. "Too late for that," she snapped, though her heart pounded. "I'm Elara, and you are?" "Thorne," he replied after a pause, as if debating whether to lie. "Thorne Blackwood, I owe you my life." The name sent a vague shiver through her, like a half-remembered legend. But she pushed it aside. "What happened to you, Thorne?" "That wound, it's not normal." "And the wolf ... He averted his eyes, jaw tightening. "Hunters. They ambushed me in the woods." "The wolf must have scared them off." It was a lie. She could feel it in the air between them, thick and unspoken. But why? Elara wanted to press, but the vulnerability in his posture stopped her. He looked haunted, like a man carrying the weight of secrets too heavy to bear alone. She knew that look she saw in the mirror every day since her ex had shattered her trust. "Fine, keep your mysteries for now, but you're not going anywhere until that heals." "Storm's still out there." Thorne's lips quirked in a faint, almost reluctant smile. "Bossy, aren't you? Most people would run from a stranger like me." "Most people haven't been through what I have," she muttered, standing to fetch him some water. As she turned away, she felt his gaze on her back, warm and insistent, stirring something deep within her, a pull she couldn't explain. Over the next few hours, as the sun climbed higher, they talked in fits and starts. Thorne was evasive about his past, mentioning only that he lived on the fringes of society, away from cities and crowds. Elara shared bits of her own story, the cheating fiancé, the need for escape, surprised at how easy it was to open up to this enigma of a man. He listened intently, his silver eyes softening with understanding. "You deserve better," he said quietly at one point, his hand brushing hers as she handed him a mug of tea. The touch sent sparks racing up her arm, and she pulled back. "Flustered, maybe," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "But trust doesn't come easy anymore." "Neither does mine," Thorne admitted, his tone laced with pain. "I've lost too much. Betrayed by those I thought were family." The shared vulnerability hung between them, a fragile thread drawing them closer. But as night fell again, Elara caught Thorne staring out the window, his body tense, as if listening to calls only he could hear. Distant howls echoed through the trees, and he flinched, a low growl rumbling in his chest, almost animalistic. "What is it?" she asked, fear creeping in. "Nothing," he lied again, but his eyes betrayed him. Something was coming. Something dangerous. Elara didn't push, but as she lay awake that night, the cabin creaking under the wind, she wondered if saving him had sealed her fate in ways she couldn't yet fathom. The pull toward Thorne was growing, an invisible bond tightening with every shared glance, every unspoken word. Little did she know, the moon was rising, and with it, secrets that could shatter everything. Asterisk, asterisk, chapter 3. Echoes of the moon, asterisk, asterisk. The howls faded into the night, leaving an uneasy hush over the cabin. Elara tossed in her bed, the thin blanket doing little to ward off the chill that had settled deeper than the winter air. Her mind replayed the day's events, the wolf's transformation, Thorne's evasive answers, that inexplicable pull whenever their eyes met. It was madness, all of it. Yet, as she listened to his steady breathing from the couch in the next room, a part of her felt anchored, safe in a way she hadn't sensed before her world crumbled that morning, brought a fragile calm. The storm had passed, blanketing the forest in fresh snow that sparkled under a pale sun. Elara rose early, brewing coffee in the tiny kitchen, the aroma filling the space like a tentative peace offering. Thorne was already awake when she entered the living room, sitting up with a blanket draped over his lap, his silver eyes tracking her movements. The bandage on his side showed no fresh blood. Whatever had caused that wound, it was mending at an alarming rate. "You're healing fast," she observed, handing him a mug. Her fingers brushed his again, and that spark ignited once more, a warm current that made her pulse quicken. She pulled back, busying herself with stirring her own cup. Thorne nodded, taking a sip. "I've always been resilient." His voice was rough, like gravel underfoot, but there was a softness in it when he spoke to her. He studied her over the rim, as if memorizing every detail, the way her auburn hair fell in loose waves, the faint freckles across her nose, the guarded caution in her green eyes. She sat across from him, the fire crackling between them like a barrier. "Resilient enough to explain what really happened last night? Those howls, they weren't just wolves, were they? You reacted like they were calling you?" He set the mug down, his jaw tightening. A shadow crossed his face, and for a moment she saw the weight he carried, something ancient and burdensome. "The woods are full of dangers, Elara. Some things are better left unspoken." Frustration bubbled up in her. "I'm not some fragile city girl who can't handle the truth. I dragged you or whatever you were in from the snow. I deserve to know if I'm in danger too." Thorne's gaze softened, and he leaned forward slightly, the muscles in his shoulders flexing under his skin. "You're not fragile. I can see that. You've got fire in you." He paused, as if weighing his words. "The howls, ... They're from my past. People creatures who want what I have. But they won't come here. Not yet. Creatures?" She latched onto the word, her curiosity sharpening. He wasn't human. She felt it in her bones now. The way his eyes gleamed unnaturally in the low light, the low rumble that sometimes vibrated from his chest when he was tense. But pressing too hard might shatter this fragile trust building between them. He sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. "Old enemies, family dispute, you could say. I've been running from it for years." Elara's heart ached at the loneliness in his tone. She knew that isolation all too well, the betrayal that left scars deeper than any claw mark. "I get running," she admitted quietly. "My ex, he wasn't just unfaithful. He made me doubt everything about myself. Like I wasn't enough. So I came here to this godforsaken cabin to figure out who I am without all that noise." Thorne's expression shifted, a protective glint in his eyes. "He was a fool. Anyone who lets someone like you go doesn't deserve a second thought." His words hung in the air, charged with an intensity that made her breath catch. For a second, she imagined what it would be like to lean into him, to let that warmth envelop her, but she held back, the slow simmer of attraction warring with caution. "And what about you? What's your story, Thorne Blackwood?" Beyond the running, he hesitated, then offered a sliver. "I come from a line of ... guardians, protectors of secrets that could upend the world. But a curse fell on us long ago, tied to the moon, to our blood. It forces us to live on the edge, always watching our backs." His voice dropped, laced with pain. "I'd lost brothers, a mate I thought was forever. Betrayal from within the pack." "Pack?" The word slipped out before she could stop it. Images of wolves flashed in her mind, the one she'd saved, the howls, but she didn't push. Instead, she reached across the space, her hand covering his. The contact sent a jolt through her, like destiny clicking into place. I'm sorry, lost like that. It changes you. Thorne didn't pull away. His thumb traced a gentle circle on her skin, his touch igniting a fire she hadn't felt in years. It does. Makes you guarded, but you make me want to lower those walls. His silver eyes met hers, holding a promise of more depths she longed to explore. They spent the day in companionable quiet, the bond deepening through small acts. Elara showed him how to chop wood outside, the crisp air biting at their cheeks. He moved with a grace that belied his injury, his strength evident as he swung the axe effortlessly. She caught herself watching him, the way his breath fogged in the cold, the subtle growl of satisfaction when the log split cleanly as evening fell. They shared a simple meal by the fire stew from her meager supplies. Conversation flowed easier now, revealing layers. Thorne spoke of sorry nights and hidden mallees, of loyalties forged in blood. Elara shared dreams she'd buried, writing stories of adventure, finding a place where she belonged. Each word wove them closer, the air thickening with unspoken desire. But suspense lingered. As the moon rose full and bright, casting silvery light through the windows, Thorne grew restless. He paced, his body taut, sweat beading on his brow despite the chill. I need air, he muttered, heading for the door. Pack? The word slipped out before she could stop it. Images of wolves flashed in her mind, the one she'd saved, the howls, but she didn't push. Instead, she reached across the space, her hand covering his. The contact sent a jolt through her, like destiny clicking into place. I'm sorry, lost like that. It changes you. Thorne didn't pull away. His thumb traced a gentle circle on her skin, his touch igniting a fire she hadn't felt in years. It does. Makes you guarded, but you make me want to lower those walls. His silver eyes met hers, holding a promise of more depths she longed to explore. They spent the day in companionable quiet, the bond deepening through small acts. Elara showed him how to chop wood outside, the crisp air biting at their cheeks. He moved with a grace that belied his injury, his strength evident as he swung the axe effortlessly. She caught herself watching him, the way his breath fogged in the cold, the subtle growl of satisfaction when the log split cleanly as evening fell. They shared a simple meal by the fire stew from her meager supplies. Conversation flowed easier now, revealing layers. Thorne spoke of sorry nights and hidden mallees, of loyalties forged in blood. Elara shared dreams she'd buried, writing stories of adventure, finding a place where she belonged. Each word wove them closer, the air thickening with unspoken desire. But suspense lingered. As the moon rose full and bright, casting silvery light through the windows, Thorne grew restless. He paced, his body taut, sweat beading on his brow despite the chill. I need air, he muttered, heading for the door. The howls crested, and suddenly, eyes gleamed from the darkness, pairs of amber and gold. Circling closer, wolves, real ones, larger than any she'd seen in documentaries, their fur bristling, breaths fogging the air. They didn't attack. Instead, they formed a loose ring around them, heads lowered in what looked like deference or warning. Thorne straightened with effort, his gaze sweeping over the pack. Back off, he snarled, the command ripping from his throat with authority that made the animals flinch. One, a massive gray beast, whined and retreated a step, but its eyes remained fixed on Elara, curious and assessing. Her breath caught. They listened to you? Thorne didn't answer immediately. He stepped in front of her, his broad frame a shield, though pain etched lines on his face. The moon's light seemed to pulse, and for a split second, she swore his silhouette shimmered like heat waves off pavement. They're not here for you, he said finally, his voice strained. Go inside, Elara. Lock the door. No, She moved to his side, defiance flaring. Whatever this is, you're not facing it alone. The word surprised even her trust, blooming frost, blooming from the seeds of their shared confessions, the touches that lingered too long. In the city, she'd learned to guard her heart like a fortress, but here, with him, walls were crumbling. He glanced at her, surprise flickering in those luminous eyes, followed by something warmer gratitude, perhaps, or deeper affection. Stubborn woman, he muttered, but there was no bite to it. With a sharp gesture, he waved off the wolves, and to her astonishment, they melted back into the shadows, their howls fading into distant murmurs. Thorne sagged against a tree, the crisis passing as the moon climbed higher. Elara slipped an arm around his waist, supporting him back toward the cabin. His weight leaned into her, heavy but comforting, his scent wood smoke and earth enveloping her like a promise. "What was that?" she asked softly once they were inside, the door bolted behind them. He collapsed onto the couch, head in his hands. "A reminder, the moon, it pulls at me, makes the boundaries blur." His words were cryptic, laced with secrets he wasn't ready to unveil, but he looked up, vulnerability raw. "You've no idea what you're inviting in, saving me like this." Elara knelt before him, her hands on his knees, the contact sending that familiar spark through them both. "Then tell me, piece by piece." "I won't run." For a long moment, silence stretched, broken only by the fire's crackle. Then, haltingly, Thorne began. "My bloodline is old, tied to legends you might call myths. We protect the wild places, but a curse binds us, forcing changes we can't always control. The pack, their family, in a way, but fractured. A rival seeks to claim what I guard, a power that could destroy the balance." She absorbed his words, sensing the half-truths, the omissions about what those changes meant. Wolf eyes, unnatural. Healing command over beasts, it painted a picture she wasn't ready to fully acknowledge. Yet it didn't scare her as it should. Instead, it intrigued, drawing her closer to this guarded man who mirrored her own wounds. "And you?" he asked, turning the focus. "Why stay?" "Most would flee." Elara hesitated, then confessed more. "Because I see myself in you. That loneliness, the betrayal, it's like looking in a mirror. My ex didn't just cheat. He stole my confidence, made me feel cursed in my own way. But with you, I feel seen, alive." Thorne's hand cupped her cheek, thumb brushing her skin with aching tenderness. The touch ignited a slow burn, desire simmering beneath the surface. His eyes darkened, not with pain, but with want. "You are alive, Elara, more than you know." He leaned in, their breaths mingling, but pulled back at the last second, restraint etched in his features. "But I'm dangerous, this curse. It could hurt you." She didn't press for the kiss, respecting the slow dance of their connection. Instead, they talked through the night, sharing fragments of their pasts. Thorne spoke of moonlit runs through ancient forests, of loyalties tested by blood. Elara revealed her dreams of a life untethered, free from societal chains. Each revelation deepened the bond, a faded thread weaving tighter, invisible but unbreakable dot as dawn broke, painting the sky in soft pinks. Thorne's tension eased, the moon's grip loosening. But outside, fresh paw prints circled the cabin, a sign the pack lingered. "They're watching," he admitted, staring out the window, protecting. "Or waiting for weakness." Elara stood beside him, their shoulders brushing. "Then we'll face it together." But even as she said it, a chill ran through her. Whispers of danger loomed, and Thorne's secret hovered like a storm cloud, ready to break. Little did she know, the next full moon phase would force revelations neither could escape. Asterisk, asterisk, chapter 5. Fractured bonds, asterisk, asterisk, dawn's light filtered through the cabin's frost-kissed windows, casting long shadows that danced like ghosts across the wooden floor. Elara stood by the stove, stirring a pot of oatmeal, her mind a whirlwind of the night's events. The paw prints outside were a stark reminder that Thorne's world, whatever it truly was, had encroached on hers. Yet, as she glanced at him sitting at the small table, rubbing his temples with a weary sigh, she felt no regret, only a deepening curiosity, laced with an affection that scared her in its intensity. Thorne looked up, his silver eyes meeting hers with a softness that hadn't been there before. The moon's influence had waned with the rising sun, leaving him more human, more approachable. But the air between them hummed with unspoken truths, a tension that both thrilled and terrified. "You didn't sleep," he observed, his voice a low rumble that sent a shiver down her spine. "Neither did you," she replied, setting a bowl in front of him. Their fingers grazed, and that electric pulse surged again, warmer now, more insistent. She sat across from him, her own bowl forgotten as she studied his face, the sharp jawline, the faint scar that spoke of battles fought and won. "Those wolves last night, they weren't just animals. They deferred to you." "Like you're their leader." He poked at the oatmeal, avoiding her gaze. "It's complicated, Elara. My family, my people, we have a connection to the wild. An old bond, forged in blood and moonlight." He paused, then added softly, "The curse I mentioned. It ties us to phases of the moon. Makes us different, stronger, but at a cost. Different how?" She leaned forward, her heart pounding. Images flickered in her mind, the wolf she'd saved, Thorne's glowing eyes, the way his body had shimmered under the moon. It all pointed to something supernatural, a shifter legend she'd read in books but never believed. Yet voicing it felt like crossing a threshold. She wasn't sure she could return from Thorne set his spoon down, his expression pained. "If I tell you everything, you'll be pulled in deeper." "This isn't your fight," but his hand reached across the table, covering hers. The touch was grounding, a silent plea for understanding. "I've spent years alone because of it, pushing people away to protect them." Elara turned her palm up, intertwining their fingers. The gesture felt natural, inevitable, like two puzzle pieces locking into place. I've been alone too. After my betrayal, I built walls so high I forgot how to let anyone in. But you're chipping away at them without even trying. She squeezed his hand, feeling the calluses that spoke of a life lived on the edge. "Maybe we both need this someone to share the burden." His thumb stroked her knuckles, a gentle caress that ignited a slow fire in her veins. For the first time, Thorne smiled, a real one, faint but genuine, crinkling the corners of his eyes. "You're braver than you know. Most humans would have bolted by now." "Humans?" The word slipped out, heavy with implication. He froze, realizing his slip, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she held his gaze, willing him to trust her as she was beginning to trust him. Thorne exhaled slowly. "See, pieces slipping out. My world isn't like yours. It's ruled by instincts, hierarchies, ancient rites. The pack sees me as their alpha, but a rival challenges that. He's the one who wounded me, trying to claim the power in my bloodline, a soul bond that could unite or destroy." "Soul bond?" Elara's breath hitched. The term resonated, echoing the pull she felt toward him. Was it fate or something more magical? "It's like destiny," he explained, his voice dropping to a whisper. "A connection that defies logic. Rare, unbreakable. I felt echoes of it before, but lost it to betrayal." His eyes darkened with old grief, and he withdrew his hand, as if the memory burned. Elara's heart ached for him. She rose, moving around the table to stand beside him. Hesitantly, she placed a hand on his shoulder, feeling the heat of his skin through his shirt. "Tell me about her, the one you lost." Thorne tensed, then relaxed under her touch. "Lyra. She was meant to be my mate, or so the signs said. But she chose power over loyalty, sided with the rival during a blood moon ritual." It nearly killed me, not just the wound, but the shatter of trust. He looked up at her, vulnerability raw. Since then, I've wandered, guarding the secret alone. Mate, the word hung between them, charged. Elara knelt, bringing her face level with his. I know betrayals sting. My ex promised forever, then threw it away for someone better. It made me question if I'm worthy of love. Tears pricked her eyes, but she blinked them back. But here with you, I feel worthy. Thorne cupped her face, his touch reverent. You are, more than worthy. Their foreheads touched, breaths mingling in the quiet cabin. The moment stretched, intimate and electric, the slow burn of desire building like embers to flame. But he pulled back, restraint winning over impulse. We can't rush this. Not with danger circling, as if summoned by his words. A distant howl pierced the morning, calm, not aggressive, but mournful. Thorne stood, peering out the window. Fresh tracks dotted the snow, closer than before. They're restless. The rival's influence grows. Elara joined him, her arm brushing his. Then let's prepare. Together. The bond deepened, a faded whisper urging them onward. But as the day wore on, spent in shared tasks, gathering firewood, mending the cabin's leaks, the suspense mounted. Thorne's glances grew more intense, his touches lingering, hinting at the beast within. And when night fell, with the moon waxing toward fullness again, a shadowy figure lurked at the forest's edge, eyes gleaming with malice. The secret teetered on revelation, threatening to upend their fragile peace. Asterisk, chapter 6, Shadows. Closing an asterisk, the day unfolded in a rhythm that felt almost normal. A deceptive calm settling over the cabin like fresh snow muffling the world. Elara and Thorne moved through chores with a synchronicity born of necessity, him splitting logs with effortless power, her tending a small garden patch unearthed from the melt. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. The shadowy figure from the night before lingered in Elara's thoughts, a specter that Thorne dismissed with a grunt, though his eyes scanned the tree line more often than not as afternoon waned. They sat on the porch, wrapped in blankets against the crisp air. Thorne's presence beside her was a solid warmth, his arm brushing hers in casual proximity that sent subtle thrills through her. The bond between them had evolved, no longer just sparks, but a steady glow, fueled by shared vulnerabilities. Yet his secret hung like a veil, thin but impenetrable, teasing at the edges of every conversation. You mentioned a rival, Elara said, breaking the quiet. She sipped herbal tea, the steam curling like secrets unveiled. Is he the one leaving those tracks? Watching us? Thorne's jaw clenched, his silver gaze distant, fixed on the forest. Ragnar. He's ambitious, ruthless. Thinks the alpha role should be his by right of conquest, not blood. He shifted, his hand finding hers on the wooden rail, fingers lacing with a possessiveness that made her heart stutter. He's challenged me before. The wound you bandaged, that was his doing. But now, with you here, it complicates things. Me? She turned to him, searching his face. The scar on his jaw seemed more pronounced in the fading light, a reminder of his battles. How do I fit into this? He hesitated, his thumb tracing patterns on her skin circles that mirrored the moon cycles, hypnotic and intimate. The soul bond I spoke of? It's not just legend. It's a force that draws mates together, heals old wounds. I felt stirrings of it with you, Elara, like fate intervening. His voice dropped, laced with wonder and fear. But if Ragnar senses it, he'll see you as a weakness to exploit. The admission hung heavy, deepening the connection while amplifying the danger. Elara's pulse quickened, not just from the threat, but from the implication that she could be his mate, bound by something cosmic. It terrified her, this pull that defied her guarded heart, yet it mended the cracks left by betrayal. I'm not afraid, she lied softly, leaning into him. His scent enveloped her, wild and comforting, stirring desires she'd long suppressed. Thorne chuckled, a low rumble that vibrated through her. Liar but brave. He tilted her chin up, their eyes locking in a gaze that spoke volumes, promises unspoken, tensions building like a storm. For a moment, she thought he might kiss her, bridge the gap with action rather than words. But he held back, restraint etched in his features, as if fearing the beast within might overwhelm. Instead, they talked. Thorne shared more fragments of his world, rituals under full moons where strength was tested, loyalty sworn in blood oaths. The curse amplifies it all, he confessed. Ties us to primal instincts, makes control a constant battle. I've hurt people unintentionally driven by the change. Change? Elara pressed gently, her hand on his chest, feeling the steady thrum of his heart. It beat faster under her touch, syncing with hers in a rhythm that felt predestined. He covered her hand with his, holding it there. When the moon calls strongest, we adapt, become guardians in truer form. His words danced around the truth, maintaining the suspense, but the implication was clear. Shifter, werewolf myths made flesh. Yet he didn't confirm, leaving her to piece it together. Trust building through omission as much as revelation. In return, Elara opened further about her past. After the betrayal, I isolated myself. Work, home, repeat. No risks. But saving you, it woke something in me. A need to connect, to heal. Tears welled, and Thorne wiped one away with a tenderness that melted her defenses. Their foreheads touched again, breaths shared in the intimacy of twilight. As night deepened, the peace shattered. A low growl echoed from the woods, not the pack's familiar chorus, but something aggressive, challenging. Thorne bolted upright, his body coiling like a spring. Stay here, he commanded, but Elara followed him to the edge of the porch. In the moonlight, a figure emerged, not wolf, but man. Tall, broad, with hair like shadowed flames and eyes glowing amber. Ragnar, flanked by two wolves. He strode forward, a smirk twisting his features. Thorne Blackwood, hiding in a human's den. Pathetic for an alpha, Thorne stepped in front of Elara, a protective growl rumbling from his chest in human feral. This isn't your territory, Ragnar. Leave. The rival's gaze slid to Elara, assessing, predatory. And who's this? Your new pet? Or something more? He inhaled deeply, as if scenting the air. Ah, the bond. Fresh, fragile. I could snap it. Elara's blood ran cold, but she stood firm, hand on Thorne's back for support. The air crackled with tension, instincts clashing. Thorne's muscles rippled, a subtle shift that hinted at the power leashed within claws, perhaps, or fur lurking beneath skin. Ragnar laughed, a chilling sound. The full moon approaches. Your curse weakens you. Join me, or I'll take what's yours, including her. With a whistle, he retreated, the wolves vanishing into the dark. Thorne turned to Elara, his eyes stormy. He's testing us. The danger's real now, but in his gaze, resolve mingled with affection. The bond strengthening amid the threat. As they retreated inside, hearts pounding, Elara knew the obstacles were mounting. Ragnar's presence forced choices, unraveling secrets inch by inch. Yet in Thorne's arms by the fire, the slow burn of their connection promised resilience if they could survive the coming storm. Chapter 7. Whispers of the Beast. The fire's embers glowed low in the hearth, casting flickering shadows that mirrored the turmoil in Elara's mind. Ragnar's parting words echoed like a dark prophecy, his amber eyes burning in her memory. She paced the cabin's worn floorboards, her arms wrapped around herself, while Thorne barred the door with a heavy beam, his movements deliberate but laced with barely contained fury. The air was thick with his scent, musk and pine, amplified by the adrenaline still coursing through him. He's gone for now, Thorne said, his voice a gravelly assurance that did little to ease the knot in her chest. He turned to her, silver eyes softening as they met hers. But he'll be back. Ragnar doesn't make idle threats. Elara stopped facing him. Then we can't just wait here like sitting ducks. Tell me more about this curse, the pack, everything. Her voice trembled, not from fear alone, but from the overwhelming pull toward him, a magnetic force that grew stronger with every shared crisis. She stepped closer, close enough to feel the heat radiating from his body, a warmth that chased away the chill seeping through the walls. Thorne hesitated, his broad shoulders slumping slightly. He reached out, his fingers tracing her arm in a feather-light touch that sent shivers racing across her skin. You deserve the truth, but it's uglier than you imagine. He guided her to the couch, sitting beside her, their thighs brushing in a contact that felt both comforting and charged. The curse started centuries ago with my ancestors, a witch's vengeance for a broken pact. It binds us to the moon's cycles, forcing a transformation that blurs man and beast. Transformation? Elara's breath hitched, her hand finding his knee instinctively. The word hung between them, heavy with implication. She'd suspected, dreamed of wolves shifting into men, but hearing it edged closer to confirmation twisted something inside her. Fear warred with fascination, but the bond, that soul-deep connection, anchored her. You mean, you become like them? The wolves? His gaze dropped to their joined hands, his grip tightening. Something like that. It's not a choice. It's instinct, raw and uncontrollable at times. The alpha bears the brunt leading the pack through it, protecting the secrets. But Ragnar wants to twist it, use the power for dominance, not balance. Pain etched his features, old wounds resurfacing. I fought to control it, but the full moon? It tests me, makes me dangerous. Elara's heart ached for him, mirroring her own struggles with control over emotions shattered by betrayal, over a life that had spiraled into isolation. She shifted closer, her free hand cupping his cheek, turning his face to hers. The stubble was rough under her palm, grounding her in the moment. You're not dangerous to me. You've protected me, Thorne. Let me protect you too by understanding. His eyes darkened, not with anger, but with a hunger that mirrored her own. He leaned in, his breath warm against her lips. You have no idea what you're offering. The soul dash bond ... If it's real between us, it could heal the curse's fractures. But it ties you to this world forever. His voice was a whisper, laced with longing. For a heartbeat, their lips hovered inches apart, the tension coiling like a spring. Then he kissed her soft, at first tentative, as if testing the waters of a forbidden river. Elara melted into it, her fingers threading through his dark hair, pulling him closer. The kiss deepened, slow and exploratory, igniting a fire that had smoldered since their first touch. It was more than passion. It was healing, mending the cracks in their souls with every shared breath. When they parted, gasping, his forehead rested against hers, eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. I've wanted that since I woke up here, he admitted, voice husky. But I held back. For you, and I for you, she whispered, her thumb brushing his lips. The kiss had sealed something, deepened the bond into unbreakable territory. Yet suspense lingered, the full extent of his shifter nature unspoken, a secret teetering on the brink. They spent the hours that followed in quiet intimacy, wrapped in blankets by the fire. Thorne shared more, tales of pack life, full moon hunts where instincts ruled, the euphoria and terror of the shift. He described the curse's toll eternal youth, shadowed by isolation, the constant battle against the beast within. It's why I wandered alone, he confessed, his head on her shoulder. Afraid to drag anyone into the chaos, Elara opened up in turn, detailing the emotional scars from her ex's deceit, how it had left her doubting her worth. But with you, I feel chosen. Like fate put me in that storm for a reason. Their conversations wove them tighter. Vulnerabilities laid bare, trust building layer by layer. As midnight approached, unease returned. A scratch at the door, soft, insistent. Thorne tensed, rising swiftly. Stay back. He approached cautiously, cracking the door to reveal a lone wolf, its fur matted, eyes pleading. It whined, dropping a bloodied cloth at his feet, a scrap from Ragnar's cloak. A warning. The pack's divided, Thorne muttered, closing the door. Some still loyal to me, others swayed by him. His body shuddered, a low growl escaping as the moon's pull intensified outside. Elara stood, wrapping her arms around him from behind. We'll face it, together. But as his skin heated under her touch, a subtle ripple passing through him, she sensed the beast stirring. The secret was unraveling faster now, danger pressing in. Ragnar's challenge loomed, and with the full moon nearing, transformations and truths could no longer be denied. Asterisk, asterisk, chapter 8. Tides of the moon, asterisk, asterisk. The bloodied cloth lay on the table like a grim talisman, its edges frayed and stained with the scent of conflict. Thorne stared at it, his silver eyes narrowing as he pieced together the warning. The lone wolf had vanished back into the night, leaving them with the weight of impending storm. Elara watched him from across the room, her body still humming from their kiss, a moment that had cracked open doors she hadn't known were locked. But now, with danger scratching at their sanctuary, the intimacy felt fragile, like glass under pressure. The pack splintering, Thorne said finally, his voice low and edged with frustration. He crumpled the cloth in his fist, muscles flexing under his shirt. That wolf was a messenger from the loyal ones. Ragnar's poisoning minds, promising power without the curse's chains. If he rallies enough, he'll force a confrontation before the full moon peaks. Elara moved to his side, her hand slipping into his free one. The contact grounded her, a lifeline amid the chaos. What does that mean for us? For ... this? She gestured vaguely between them, the soul bond he'd hinted at pulsing like a living thing, drawing them inexorably closer. He turned to her, his gaze softening, though shadows lingered in its depths. It means we have little time. The bond, it's awakening things in me I thought dormant. Healing, perhaps. But it paints a target on you. His fingers tightened around hers, protective, possessive. I won't let him touch you. The vow sent a warmth spreading through her, mingling with the slow-building desire that had ignited with their kiss. Elara stepped into his space, her free hand resting on his chest, feeling the rapid beat of his heart strong, wild, echoing her own. And I won't let you fight alone. We've both been betrayed before. Let's not repeat the past. Thorne's breath hitched, and he pulled her against him, wrapping his arms around her in an embrace that felt like home. His chin rested on her head, and for a moment, the cabin's walls seemed to fade, leaving only them. You're unlike anyone I've known, he murmured into her hair. Human fragility with a wolf's spirit. It's intoxicating. They lingered there, bodies pressed close, the heat between them building like a banked fire. Elara tilted her head up, her lips brushing his jaw in a tentative caress. He groaned softly, a sound that vibrated through her, primal and unguarded. His hands traced her back, mapping her curves with reverence, as if committing her to memory. The kiss that followed was deeper than the first, hungry, yet restrained, a dance of lips and tongues that promised more but held back. Savoring the anticipation dot when they broke apart, breathless, Thorne's eyes gleamed with that unnatural silver sheen, hinting at the beast lurking beneath. The moon's waxing, he warned, his voice rough. It stirs the change, makes instinct sharper. I don't want to scare you. You don't, she assured him, though a thrill of apprehension mixed with excitement. The hints he'd dropped transformation. Beast and man blurring painted a picture she was beginning to accept. Shifter, cursed to walk between worlds. But the full truth remained veiled, a suspense that heightened every touch, every glance. Show me more of your world. Help me understand. He nodded, leading her to the window where moonlight spilled like liquid silver. The curse isn't just pain. It's power. Heightened senses, strength beyond human limits. But it demands balance control, or it consumes. He placed her hand on the glass, his over it, and closed his eyes. Feel it. The night calls. Elara concentrated, and strangely she did feel something, a subtle hum, like the forest breathing. Whispers of wind through trees, distant rustles of life. Was it the bond linking her to his senses? It's alive, she whispered, awe coloring her tone. Thorne smiled faintly, opening his eyes. That's the wild in me. The part Ragnar covets to wield without restraint. He turned serious. Tomorrow I'll scout the perimeter, rally the loyalists. But tonight, let's just be. They retreated to the fire, sharing stories that peeled back more layers. Thorne spoke of his youth and hidden enclaves, learning to harness the shift under his father's guidance, a man lost to the same rival's ambition. He taught me that true alpha strength is in protection, not domination, Thorne said, his hand idly stroking her arm. Sending sparks along her skin, Elara reciprocated, detailing her shattered dreams, the novels she'd abandoned after her ex's mockery, the yearning for a family she'd buried deep. I thought love was a lie, she admitted, leaning into him. But this feels real, fated. It is, he confirmed, his voice thick with emotion. The soul bond recognizes its match. It mends what's broken in body and spirit. His fingers traced her collarbone, dipping lower in a caress that made her gasp. Desire flared, but he paused, pulling back with visible effort. Not yet. Not until you're sure. The restraint only deepened her longing, the slow burn coiling tighter. As the fire died to embers, they lay together on the rug, her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat sync with the night's rhythm. Sleep came fitfully, dreams woven with wolves and silver eyes, but dawn brought unrest. A howl shattered the quiet, not a warning, but a cry of pain. Thorne bolted upright, his body taut. One of mine, he growled, rushing to the door. Outside, a wounded wolf limped into view, collapsing in the snow. Its side gashed Ragnar's mark. Elara knelt beside it, her hands gentle as Thorne communicated in low rumbles, the animal responding with whines. He struck first, Thorne translated, fury blazing. Ambushed a scout. The challenge is set for tomorrow's eve. As they tended the wolf, Elara felt the bond surge, a fierce protectiveness rising in her. But with it came dread. The full moon loomed, and Thorne's control would be tested. The secret of his true form hovered, ready to burst forth in the heat of battle, forcing choices that could bind them eternally or tear them apart. Asterisk, asterisk, chapter 9, Eclipse of Secrets. Asterisk, asterisk, the wounded wolf lay panting on the cabin's porch, its flanks heaving with labored breaths as blood seeped into the snow. Elara knelt beside it, her hands steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. She pressed a clean cloth to the gash, mirroring the care she'd given Thorne days ago. He crouched opposite her, his silver eyes locked on the animal's, communicating in a language of growls and whines that sent chills down her spine. The wolf's responses were weak but trusting, its head nudging Thorne's hand in submission. It's stable, Thorne announced, his voice tight with controlled rage. Ragnar's claws did this, a message to the pack. Divide and conquer. He stroked the wolf's ear, a gesture both commanding and tender, revealing the alpha in him more clearly than ever. Elara watched, mesmerized by the bond, wondering if this was a glimpse into his true nature, man and beast intertwined. Together, they carried the wolf inside, settling it by the fire on a bed of blankets. As Elara fetched water and herbs from her supplies, Thorne murmured thanks, his gaze lingering on her with an intensity that made her cheeks flush. "You adapt quickly," he said, a note of admiration threading his words. "Most would panic. I've had practice with chaos," she replied, kneeling to clean the wound. Their hands brushed in the process, that familiar spark igniting, warmer now, more profound. The soul bond he described felt tangible, a current flowing between them, healing not just the wolf, but the fractures in their hearts. "Besides, if this is your world, I want to be part of it." No more hiding. Thorne's expression softened, but shadows danced in his eyes, the curse's burden, the impending challenge. "You're already in deeper than you know." He helped her apply a poultice, their movements synchronized, a silent dance born of growing trust. As they worked, he shared more. The pack's hierarchy, how alphas like him bore the curse's weight to shield others, the rituals that bound them under the moon. The transformation, it's a release and a prison. Power surges, but so does the risk of losing oneself. Elara paused, her hand on the wolf's fur, feeling its stunning breath. "Losing yourself how?" "To the beast." She met his gaze, searching for the full truth. He'd skirted the edges, hints of shifts, primal instincts, but never confirmed the shifter essence she suspected. The suspense coiled tighter, a delicious agony that heightened every moment. He nodded slowly, his fingers entwining with hers over the wolf's side. The moon pulls, reshapes. Man becomes more animal. It's why Ragnar strikes now, to exploit the vulnerability. His thumb caressed her skin, a soothing counterpoint to the dread in his voice. "But with you, the pull feels different, balanced, like the bond tempers the curse." The admission deepened their connection, a faded whisper urging vulnerability. Elara leaned closer, her free hand tracing the scar on his jaw, a mark from past shifts, she guessed. "Then let it. I've lost myself too in doubt and pain. But here, with you, I'm finding pieces I didn't know were missing." Tears glistened in her eyes, and Thorne wiped them away, his touch lingering on her cheek, in that quiet interlude. As the wolf dozed under their care, they opened further. Thorne confessed the isolation of leadership, how the curse had stolen loved ones, leaving him guarded. Lyra's betrayal wasn't just personal. It weakened the pack. "I vowed never to risk another." His voice cracked, raw emotion surfacing. Elara shared her own depths, the nights of self-doubt after her ex's abandonment, the fear of never being enough. "I came here to escape, but maybe fate brought me to you. To heal us both." She rested her head on his shoulder, their bodies aligning in comfortable intimacy. His arm encircled her waist, pulling her against him, the heat of him seeping through her clothes. Desire simmered, building on their earlier kisses. Thorne's lips brushed her temple, a soft kiss that trailed to her ear. "You make me want to believe in redemption," he whispered, his breath hot against her skin. She turned, capturing his mouth in a kiss that started gentle but grew fervent. Hands exploring with tentative boldness, her fingers in his hair, his on her hips, drawing her onto his lap. The wolf stirred slightly, a reminder of the world outside, but they lingered in the moment, breaths ragged when they parted. Thorne's eyes glowed brighter, a hint of the beast flashing through pupils dilating, a low rumble in his chest. "Careful," he warned, though his hold tightened. The moon's influence grows. Instincts sharpen. Elara didn't retreat. Instead, she traced his lips. "I trust you." The words sealed another layer of their bond, emotional walls crumbling further. But suspense hung heavy. The full reveal of his shifter form loomed, tied to the coming battle. As evening fell, the wolf recovered enough to stand, whining gratitude before slipping out into the dusk. Thorne watched it go, tension returning. The loyalists are gathering. Ragnar's challenge tomorrow will decide everything alpha status. The curses hold. Elara stood beside him at the door, hand in his. We'll win, together. But howls rose in the distance, closer, more numerous. Ragnar's forces amassed, and with the full moon cresting tomorrow, Thorne's control frayed at the edges, a subtle tremor in his frame, skin heating unnaturally. The secret strained to break free, promising a revelation that could forge them unbreakable or shatter their world. Asterisk, asterisk, chapter 10, Bonds. Forged in moonlight, asterisk, asterisk, the howls crescendoed into the night, a symphony of unrest that set Elara's nerves on edge. Inside the cabin, the fire crackled defiantly, but the warmth did little to dispel the chill of anticipation. Thorne paced like a caged animal, his silver eyes darting to the windows, body humming with pent-up energy. The full moon would crest tomorrow, and with it, Ragnar's challenge, a battle that could redefine everything. Elara watched him, her heart a tumult of fear and resolve, the soul bond pulsing stronger, urging her to bridge the distance. "Thorne," she said softly, rising from her seat by the fire. She approached him, placing a hand on his arm. His skin was feverish, hotter than before, as if the moon's tide was already surging within him. He stopped, turning to her with a gaze that held both tenderness and torment. "You don't have to carry this alone. Tell me how to help." He exhaled sharply, pulling her into his arms. The embrace was fierce, his strength enveloping her like a shield. "Just being here helps more than you know," he murmured against her hair. "The bond. It's anchoring me, tempering the beast." His hands roamed her back, not in passion, but in reassurance, tracing soothing patterns that eased the tension in them both. Elara melted into him, her cheek against his chest, listening to the erratic rhythm of his heart fast, powerful, syncing with hers in a harmony that felt predestined. The kiss from earlier lingered in her mind, a spark that had fanned into flames, but they held back, savoring the buildup, letting emotions deepen before bodies followed. "The beast," she echoed, pulling back slightly to meet his eyes. "You've hinted at it so much. The transformation, the curse, it's you shifting, isn't it? Into the wolf I saved." Thorne's jaw tightened, a flicker of vulnerability crossing his features. He led her to the couch, sitting close, their knees touching. "Close," he admitted, his voice a husky whisper. "The curse forces the change man to wolf, instincts overriding reason. It's why alphas lead, to guide the pack through it, maintain order. But revealing it fully, it could change how you see me." His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her lip in a gesture laden with unspoken longing. Elara covered his hand with hers, holding it there. "Nothing will change that. I've seen your heart, Thorne. The protector, the wounded soul. If anything, it draws me closer." Tears pricked her eyes as she confessed more. "My past made me hide, afraid of vulnerability. But you make me want to embrace it, all of it, even the wild parts." His silver gaze intensified, glowing faintly as the moon's light filtered through the curtains. He leaned in, capturing her lips in a kiss that was slow, deliberate outpouring of souls. It built gradually, from tender exploration to a deeper hunger, his hands framing her face as if she were precious, breakable. Elara responded with equal fervor, her fingers digging into his shoulders, feeling the ripple of muscles that hinted at the power coiled within. When they parted, foreheads touching, breaths mingling, he whispered, "You're my mate, Elara. The bond confirms it. It heals the curse's edges, but only if we claim it fully." The word mate resonated, a cosmic echo that thrilled and terrified her. She traced his collarbone, feeling the heat rise, a subtle tremor under his skin-like fur brushing against restraint. "Then claim it," she urged, her voice bold despite the flush on her cheeks. But Thorne hesitated, restraint winning, though his eyes darkened with desire. "Not yet," he said, voice strained. The full moon tomorrow, the shift will be inevitable during the challenge. You need to see me as I am first. The suspense thickened, the secret on the cusp, but he diverted with stories, deepening their emotional tie. He spoke of moonlit ceremonies where mates bonded for life, souls entwining in eternal loyalty. It's more than physical, it's spiritual. Undoing betrayals, forging unbreakable trust. Elara shared her fears of commitment, how her ex's lies had left her shattered. I thought I'd never feel this again safe. Desired. She nestled against him, his arm around her shoulders, the cabin a cocoon of intimacy amid the storm brewing outside Dot as hours passed. They prepared Thorne, teaching her basic defenses, his touches lingering, instructive yet intimate. A brush of fingers here, a steadying hand there, each contact building the slow burn. But unrest intruded, scratches at the door, shadows shifting in the woods. Thorne growled low, investigating, returning with news. Scouts report Ragnar is gathering forces. The loyalists hold, but barely. Tomorrow, at the clearing under the moon, it ends. Elara nodded, resolve stealing her. I'm coming with you, he protested, but she silenced him with a kiss fierce, affirming. We're in this together, mate. The word hung charged as night deepened. Thorne's body grew restless, skin flushing, a low rumble in his throat. He paced again, fighting the pull, but Elara's presence calmed him, the bond a balm. Yet, as the moon climbed, howls turned aggressive, Ragnar's pack encroaching. A crash outside shattered the quiet, a window breaking. A wolf snarled at Thorne, shoved her behind him, his form shimmering faintly, claws extending just a hint before retracting. Stay back. The intrusion forced the secret closer to the surface, danger accelerating revelations. As they faced the threat, Elara knew tomorrow's battle would unveil everything, the shifter's truth. Their fated love tested in blood and moonlight. Asterisk, asterisk, chapter 11. Luna's dawn, asterisk, asterisk. Glass shards glittered on the cabin floor like fallen stars. The broken window yawning open to the frigid night. A massive wolf amber-eyed and snarling leaped through the breach, its paws thudding heavily as it landed, lips curled back to reveal razor fangs. Ragnar's scent clung to it, a dark undercurrent of aggression and claim. Elara's heart slammed against her ribs, but she didn't scream. Instead, she grabbed the fire poker, standing firm beside Thorne. Get out. Thorne roared, his voice distorting into something inhuman, a guttural command that made the intruder hesitate. His body convulsed, muscles bulging unnaturally, veins pulsing with moonlight's curse. Claws extended fully now, sharp and curved, tearing through his fingertips as fur bristled along his arms. Elara gasped, the pieces clicking, the wolf she'd saved, the glowing eyes, the primal growls. He was shifting partway, fighting it, but the full moon's eve forced the truth to the surface. The attacking wolf lunged, jaws snapping toward Thorne's throat. He met it midair, his partially transformed hands slamming into its chest, sending it crashing against the wall. Wood splintered, and Elara swung the poker, connecting with the beast's flank in a desperate arc. It yelped, twisting to face her, but Thorne was there, his form blurring as he pinned it down. Run, Elara, he snarled, but his voice cracked with pain. The shift accelerating, bones cracking, fur spreading like shadows claiming skin. No. She dropped the poker, rushing to his side as the wolf submitted, whining under his dominance. But more howls erupted outside, Ragnar's pack closing in. The cabin was no longer safe. The challenge had come early, forced by the moon's relentless pull. Thorne shoved the subdued wolf out the window, then turned to her, his face a mask of anguish. Half man, half beast, ears pointed, eyes blazing silver, canines elongated. This is me, he rasped, voice echoing with dual tones. The curse, the shifter. Wolf and Alpha, bound by blood. Elara's world tilted, but the bond surged, a tidal wave of acceptance washing over her fear. She reached out, her hand trembling as it touched his furred cheek. It was soft, warm, undeniably him. I knew, she whispered, tears streaming. Deep down, I knew. And I choose you, all of you. The words unlocked something, the soul bond flaring bright, easing his struggle. His form stabilized, the shift halting midway, granting control amid chaos. Thorne's clawed hand covered hers, gentle despite the lethality. Mate, he breathed, the term a vow. In that suspended moment, amid the encroaching danger, their lips met in a kiss born of desperation and destiny fierce, consuming, sealing the fated connection. It was more than passion. It was completion, her human heart merging with his wild spirit, healing the curse's fractures. When they parted, strength flowed through him, borrowed from her unwavering trust, but the pack arrived, shadows materializing into wolves encircling the cabin. Ragnar stepped forward in human form, smirking, his amber eyes gleaming with triumph. The moon reveals you, brother. Weak, clinging to a human. Yield the alpha mantle, or I'll take her as spoils. Thorne growled, fully embracing the shift, now body elongating, fur enveloping him in a seamless transformation. Elara watched in awe as he became the massive black wolf she'd rescued, silver eyes locking on hers with unspoken love. The bond hummed, allowing her to sense his thoughts. Asterisk protect, love, forever. Asterisk. She nodded, grabbing a lantern as improvised weapon, standing tall as Luna to his alpha. The battle erupted in a whirlwind of fur and fangs. Thorne charged Ragnar, who shifted mid-stride into a hulking red wolf, their bodies colliding in a thunderous clash. Claws raked, teeth snapped, blood staining the snow. Loyal wolves joined Thorne, turning the tide, but Ragnar's numbers pressed. Elara swung the lantern at an encroaching foe, shattering it in a burst of flame that scattered the attackers. For Thorne, she cried, her voice carrying authority she hadn't known she possessed. In the melee, Thorne pinned Ragnar, jaws at his throat. But the rival twisted, slashing deep into Thorne's side, the old wound reopening. Pain lanced through the bond, staggering Elara. She rushed forward, heedless of danger, placing her hands on Thorne's furred back. Fight it, she urged, pouring her strength into him. The soul bond amplified, mending the gash with ethereal light. The curse breaking under their united will. Ragnar faltered, sensing the shift in power. With a final snarl, he submitted, shifting back to human, head bowed. The bond. It's true. His pack retreated, howls turning to deference as they acknowledged the victor. Thorne shifted back, collapsing into Elara's arms, human once more, the curse's hold shattered. You saved me again, he whispered, his silver eyes clear, free. Around them, wolves bowed hundreds, then 1,000 emerging from the woods, recognizing her as Luna Queen. In the quiet aftermath, as dawn broke, they held each other, the bond eternal. I love you, Thorne confessed, the words a gentle promise. Elara smiled, her heart whole. And I you, forever. But peace was new, a horizon of ununpacked life, shared rule. As they walked into the light, wolves at their heels, a new chapter beckoned, filled with love's enduring mystery. Chapter 12, anew. The first rays of dawn painted the snow in hues of gold and rose, softening the chaos of the night's battle. Elara stood with Thorne at the edge of the clearing, their hands entwined, the warmth of his touch grounding her in the surreal aftermath. Around them, the pack now unified under Thorne's reclaimed alpha status dispersed into the forest, their howls soft to murmurs of loyalty. The 1,000 wolves that had bowed to her as Luna Queen lingered in her mind, a weight both humbling and daunting. The soul bond thrummed between them, a living pulse that had shattered the curse's grip, but questions lingered, whispering of a future yet to be defined. Thorne's silver eyes, no longer clouded by the moon's pull, met hers with a tenderness that made her breath catch. His wound, miraculously healed by their bond, was now a faint scar beneath his torn shirt. "You were incredible," he said, his voice low and reverent, a rumble that stirred the embers of their earlier kisses. "I've never seen a human anyone stand so fiercely against a pack." "You're truly my Luna." Elara's cheeks warmed, but she didn't shy away. "I didn't feel human out there," she admitted, squeezing his hand. "It was like I could feel you, your strength, your heart. The bond, it's more than I imagined." Her words carried the weight of their shared ordeal, the moment when she'd poured her will into him, sealing their fates. Yet, even with the curse broken, Thorne's shifter nature remained a half-revealed mystery, its full depth hidden in the rituals and secrets of his world. He drew her closer, his arms circling her waist, the contact sparking that familiar heat. "The bond is only the beginning," he murmured, lips brushing her forehead. "It's a promise of trust, of unity. But the pack life, the shifter ways, they're complex. I want you to choose this freely, Elara, knowing all it entails." They walked back to the cabin, the air crisp with the scent of pine and snow. Inside, broken window was a stark reminder of the night's violence, but the fire still burned, a symbol of resilience. Elara busied herself sweeping glass, while Thorne boarded the window with spare planks, his movements fluid despite the ordeal. Their shared silence was comfortable, punctuated by glances that spoke volumes, desire tempered by restraint, love deepening with every heartbeat dot as they sat by the fire. Sharing a meager breakfast of bread and tea, Elara pressed for more. "Tell me about being a shifter," she said, her voice soft but insistent. "You've shown me the wolf, but what does it mean? The rituals, the pack, how does it work now that the curse is gone?" Thorne leaned back, his gaze distant, as if peering into centuries past. "The curse forced the shift, made it a battle for control. Without it, I'm free to choose when to shift, to balance man and wolf. But the pack, it's a family bound by blood and instinct. Alphas lead, protect, but Lunas like you bind us, temper our wildness." He reached for her hand, his thumb tracing her knuckles. "There are rites under the moon to cement bonds. If you accept this role, it's not just us, it's them, too." Her heart stuttered at the weight of it, Luna, queen to 1,000 wolves. Yet the bond pulsed with assurance, her connection to Thorne anchoring her courage. "I want to understand it all," she said. "For you, for us." She leaned into him, her head on his shoulder, the intimacy of their closeness a balm to her fears. His arm tightened around her shoulders, and for a moment, they simply breathed together. The fire's crackle, a soft counterpoint to their shared pulse. Thorne's stories unfolded. Ancient forests where shifters ran free, full moon gatherings where mates were chosen, the pack's loyalty tested through trials of strength and heart. "The soul bond is rare," he explained, his fingers weaving through hers. "It's why Ragnar feared it. It's power love that transcends, heals. With you, I feel whole." Alara's throat tightened, memories of her broken past surfacing. "I thought love was a trap after him. But this, it's like I was meant to find you." She turned, kissing him softly, a gentle press that deepened slowly, lips exploring with quiet hunger. His hands slid to her hips, pulling her closer, the kiss a vow of forever. When they parted, his eyes glowed faintly, not with the curse, but with love's intensity, yet suspense lingered. Thorne's shifter life held layers, unrevealed rituals, enemies, the full extent of pack dynamics. As they planned for the day, reinforcing the cabin and scouting for stragglers, a distant howl broke the calm, not hostile but urgent. Thorne tensed, rising to check the door. "A scout," he said, opening it to reveal a gray wolf, eyes wide with news. They found Ragnar. Thorne translated after a series of growls. He's retreated, but not far. He's plotting something, the final stand, maybe? His jaw set, a flicker of the beast in his posture. Elara stood, resolve hardening. Then we face him together. As Alpha and Luna, the words felt right, claiming her place. But as night loomed, the pack gathered outside, their eyes on her, 1,000 wolves waiting. Thorne's hand found hers, a lifeline, but a new challenge stirred, integrating into this wild world, proving her strength. The shifter's secrets were unraveling, but the path ahead promised trials that would test their bond to its core. Asterisk, asterisk, chapter 13, forever under the moon, asterisk, asterisk. The twilight forest hummed with anticipation, the pack's eyes glinting like stars in the gathering dusk. Elara stood beside Thorne at the cabin's threshold, her hand clasped in his, the soul bond a steady pulse anchoring them against the uncertainty ahead. The gray wolf's warning of Ragnar's lingering threat had set the pack on edge, their howls weaving a tapestry of loyalty and unease. As Luna, Elara felt their gazes expectant, reverent, yet probing, testing her place among them. The weight of her new role pressed against her, but Thorne's presence, solid and warm, fortified her resolve. "We face him tonight," Thorne said, his voice a low growl, carrying the authority of an alpha tempered by love. His silver eyes, now free of the curse's torment, held hers with unwavering trust. "Ragnar's desperate. He'll strike under the waning moon, hoping to catch us off guard. But the pack is ours, and so is the bond." His thumb brushed her knuckles, a gesture that sparked warmth, rekindling the embers of their earlier intimacy. Elara nodded, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. The shifter's secret was no longer veiled. Thorne's transformation had been revealed in the heat of battle, his wolf form a majestic truth she'd embraced. Yet mysteries lingered, the full extent of pack rituals, the rites that would cement her as Luna. "I'm ready," she said, squeezing his hand. "For you, for them, for us." The words were a vow, echoing the kisses that had sealed their fates, each one deepening the slow-burning love that had healed their wounds. They prepared together, Thorne briefing her on the pack's formation-loyal wolves, circling the clearing where Ragnar was last sighted. As they stepped into the forest, the pack flanked them, 1,000 strong, their fur shimmering under the fading moonlight. Elara's breath caught at the sight, her human heart sinking with their wild rhythm through the bond. Thorne's hand never left hers, his touch a lifeline as they moved toward Destiny Dot in the clearing. Ragnar awaited, no longer in wolf form but human, his amber eyes blazing with defiance. A dozen renegade wolves stood behind him, their growls low and menacing. "You think a human can lead as Luna?" He sneered, his voice dripping with venom. "The pack deserves a true alpha pair, not a cursed relic in his pet." Thorne stepped forward, his body radiating power, though he remained human for now. "The curse is broken, Ragnar." The bond chose Elara. She's proven her strength, her heart. "You've lost." His voice carried a command that made the renegades flinch, but Ragnar held his ground, a wicked smile curling his lips. "Then let's end this," Ragnar snarled, shifting in a blur of fur and muscle, a massive red wolf, larger than before, fueled by desperation. The renegades followed, launching into the loyal pack. Chaos erupted, teeth and claws clashing in a whirlwind of fury. Thorne shifted seamlessly, his black wolf form towering, silver eyes locking on Elara for a fleeting moment. Asterisk, "Stay safe." "Mate," asterisk, the bond carried his thoughts. As she nodded, grabbing a sturdy branch as a weapon. She wasn't fighting as a wolf, but as Luna, her courage amplifying the pack's resolve. She swung at a renegade, snapping at a loyalist's flank, driving it back, her presence rallying the wolves around her. Thorne and Ragnar collided, a storm of power jaws snapping, claws raking. Blood sprayed the snow, but the soul bond pulsed, channeling Elara's strength into Thorne. She felt his pain, his fury, and poured her love back, a light that steadied him. The pack fought fiercely, loyalists overwhelming the renegades, their unity unbreakable under their Alpha and Luna.Ragnar faltered, his movement slowing as Thorne pinned him, jaws at his throat. But instead of killing, Thorne shifted back, human again, his voice resonant. "Submit, Ragnar. The pack chooses us." Elara stood beside him, her hand on his shoulder, the bond radiating authority. One by one, the renegades bowed, and Ragnar, defeated, shifted back. Head lowered in submission, the pack howled in triumph, a chorus that echoed through the forest, sealing their victory. Elara's knees trembled, but Thorne caught her, pulling her into a kiss that was both fierce and tender love declared under the stars. "You're a queen," he whispered, his breath warm against her lips. The pack circled, their eyes soft with acceptance, welcoming her fully as dawn broke. They returned to the cabin, the pack dispersing to their territories, peace restored. Inside, by the fire's glow, Thorne and Elara collapsed together, exhausted but whole. "The Luna Rite comes next," he said, tracing her face with reverence. "A ceremony to bind you to the pack, to me, forever. Will you take it?" "Yes," she answered, her voice steady, love overriding fear. "I choose you, this life, all of it." Their kiss deepened, a promise of shared nights, moonlit runs, and a love that transcended worlds. The shifter's secrets were now theirs to explore, the pack their family, the forest their home. They stepped outside, hand in hand, the horizon glowing with promise. A new future awaited Alpha and Luna, forged in battle, bound by fate, ready to face whatever mysteries lay ahead. Word count, 894. Xyartifact artifact _ID equals 7A17904-3C70. E-4562-9922-279E-7B232BBD. Artifact _version_ID equals double quotes 16E7-F14-B2B-4 416-AFF6-402 314163A2A. Title equals I Saved the Cursed Alpha from Death. Now 1,000 wolves bow to me as their Luna Queen. Chapter 13.MD content type equals text markdown greater than #chapter 13. Forever under the moon. The twilight forest hummed with anticipation, the pack's eyes glinting like stars in the gathering dusk. Elara stood beside Thorne at the cabin's threshold, her hand clasped in his, the soul bond a steady pulse anchoring them against the uncertainty ahead. The gray wolf's warning of Ragnar's lingering threat had set the pack on edge, their howls weaving a tapestry of loyalty and unease. As Luna, Elara felt their gazes expectant, reverent, yet probing, testing her place among them. The weight of her new role pressed against her, but Thorne's presence, solid and warm, fortified her resolve. "We face him tonight," Thorne said, his voice a low growl, carrying the authority of an alpha tempered by love. His silver eyes, now free of the curse's torment, met hers with unwavering trust. "Ragnar's desperate. He'll strike under the waning moon, hoping to catch us off guard. But the pack is ours, and so is the bond." His thumb brushed her knuckles, a gesture that sparked warmth, rekindling the embers of their earlier intimacy. Elara nodded, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. The shifter's secret was no longer veiled. Thorne's transformation had been revealed in the heat of battle, his wolf form a majestic truth she'd embraced. Yet mysteries lingered, the full extent of pack rituals, the rites that would cement her as Luna. "I'm ready," she said, squeezing his hand. "For you, for them, for us." The words were a vow, echoing the kisses that had sealed their fates, each one deepening the slow-burning love that had healed their wounds. They prepared together, Thorne briefing her on the pack's formation loyal wolves, circling the clearing where Ragnar was last sighted. As they stepped into the forest, the pack flanked them, 1,000 strong, their fur shimmering under the fading moonlight. Elara's breath caught at the sight, her human heart sinking with their wild rhythm through the bond. Thorne's hand never left hers, his touch a lifeline as they moved toward Destiny Dot in the clearing. Ragnar awaited, no longer in wolf form but human, his amber eyes blazing with defiance. A dozen renegade wolves stood behind him, their growls low and menacing. "You think a human can lead as Luna?" He sneered, his voice dripping with venom. "The pack deserves a true alpha pair, not a cursed relic and his pet." Thorne stepped forward, his body radiating power, though he remained human for now. "The curse is broken, Ragnar." The bond chose Elara. She's proven her strength, her heart. "You've lost." His voice carried a command that made the renegades flinch, but Ragnar held his ground, a wicked smile curling his lips. "Then let's end this," Ragnar snarled. Shifting in a blur of fur and muscle, a massive red wolf, larger than before, fueled by desperation. The renegades followed, launching into the loyal pack. Chaos erupted, teeth and claws clashing in a whirlwind of fury. Thorne shifted seamlessly, his black wolf form towering, silver eyes locking on Elara for a fleeting moment. Stay safe. Me, the bond carried his thoughts. And she nodded, grabbing a sturdy branch as a weapon. She wasn't fighting as a wolf, but as Luna, her courage amplifying the pack's resolve. She swung at a renegade snapping at a loyalist's flank, driving it back, her presence rallying the wolves around her. Thorne and Ragnar collided, a storm of power jaws snapping, claws raking. Blood sprayed the snow, but the soul bond pulsed, channeling Elara's strength into Thorne. She felt his pain, his fury, and poured her love back, a light that steadied him. The pack fought fiercely, loyalists overwhelming the renegades, their unity unbreakable under their Alpha and Luna. Ragnar faltered, his movements slowing as Thorne pinned him, jaws at his throat. But instead of killing, Thorne shifted back, human again, his voice resonant. "Submit, Ragnar. The pack chooses us." Elara stood beside him, her hand on his shoulder, the bond radiating authority. One by one, the renegades bowed, and Ragnar, defeated, shifted back, head lowered in submission. The pack howled in triumph, a chorus that echoed through the forest, sealing their victory. Elara's knees trembled, but Thorne caught her, pulling her into a kiss that was both fierce and tender love declared under the stars. "You're our queen," he whispered, his breath warm against her lips. The pack circled, their eyes soft with acceptance. Welcoming her fully. As dawn broke, they returned to the cabin, the pack dispersing to their territories, peace restored. Inside, by the fire's glow, Thorne and Elara collapsed together, exhausted but whole. "The Luna rite comes next," he said, tracing her face with reverence. "A ceremony to bind you to the pack, to me, forever. Will you take it?" "Yes," she answered, her voice steady, love overriding fear. "I choose you, this life, all of it." Their kiss deepened, a promise of shared nights, moonlit runs, and a love that transcended worlds. The shifter's secrets were now theirs to explore, the pack their family, the forest their home. They stepped outside, hand in hand, the horizon glowing with promise. A new future awaited Alpha and Luna, forged in battle, bound by fate, ready to face whatever mysteries lay ahead.